Hi, it's Richard here from On Demand Education. In this, the third video in our What's New in version 12 series, we're going to look not so much at a new feature, but a couple of ways in which our workflow has changed in order to get things done. Here I am in version 12 with a freshly created local project. In that project, I have created an entity called the customer, and I have created one new attribute called the customer's gender, which is a text attribute, and I have set this up on the identifying attribute created automatically as the gender attribute for substitution. Unlike in previous versions, when this is set up and I go to create a new screen for my interview, and I'll just move it above, there we go. The vocabulary has changed slightly in that instead of asking for entity collection, I must add a new entity container control. Then I am able to add the new input of my customer's name and the customer's gender. We can see here that the customer's gender, unlike in version 10, which would have been automatically created as a text drop-down with male and female, because it's a gender attribute, it is still set up as a text attribute with no list. I'm going to go ahead and edit that by selecting drop-down and selecting values. And I will add manually the values that we would have seen as standard in version 10. I will save my changes, and we can see that I now have a drop-down. In order to be able to create an objective, a goal if you will, for my rule base, I've gone ahead and created two very simple rules, one for the customer and one to make sure that the interview is complete. Now, when I run my interview using the debug feature, which is the equivalent of debug with screens and without screens and the general debugger, I will make sure that I now am able to add the customer, select a gender, specify the single Boolean attribute that I had created, and the interview is complete, and we can see that in spite of the slight change in workflow, gender substitution still has produced her instead of his or its. If we go back and we say that Bobby is in fact male and has finished the questions, we now see that Bobby has completed his complaints form. So although we have a slightly different workflow, we still have the correct outcome. Another area that you might have been looking for information about concerns what we used to call the decision report. I'm going to go to an intermediate attribute, and you'll notice that we no longer have decision report options. Instead, we have explanation options. And here we will find invisible and true and silent, the different options that we had previously. So you can think that whenever you see explanation, think decision report. Now, when the interview is complete, the extra information has disappeared. That's it for this time. Thanks for listening. See you soon.